All right. Well, while we're waiting for people to get started, I want to be conscious of everybody's time. So I will go ahead and welcome you all. My name is Carrie Knuth. I am the Interim Director of Student Life for the Ivy Tech Fort Wayne campus. Before we begin today's presentation, I want to talk a little bit about our ongoing program through the next 2 months. So Student Life Leadership Development Series Certificate Program. Ivy Tech Student Life Fort Wayne and Warsaw is dedicated to providing educational programming and opportunities designed for students to further develop their leadership knowledge, skills, and abilities, set their personal education goals, and develop healthy behaviors that lead to satisfying and productive lifestyles. Participation in each of the Office of Student Life Fort Wayne Leadership Development Certification sessions will provide students with a holistic leadership perspective and practical tools to enhance their leadership skills and abilities. Students and staff will learn techniques in self-leadership, emotional intelligence, communicating with impact, and the importance of being a team player. You can learn more about this series certificate program, including how participation can make you eligible to win a $500 scholarship here at Ivy Tech. You can learn more about that at link.ivytech.edu/FW Leads, and I will go ahead and drop that link in the chat box. I'd like to introduce our speaker and the facilitator for our ongoing session over the next 2 months. Dr. Ron Lewis is the founder of Lewis Way Leadership Development. Lewis Way Leadership Development is a professional development and consulting firm designed to support students, organizations, and businesses to achieve workplace synergy and harmony. Dr. Lewis is an experienced trainer and speaker who has passionately presented to thousands of professionals about taking personal ownership and accepting personal leadership. Dr. Ron Lewis's recent appointment to the position of Assistant Professor and Director of Marketing Program at the University of St. Francis illustrates his continued dedication to inspiring, training, and teaching others. He is a longtime educator, former TRIO director, former Ivy Tech instructor, and coach of our historic Ivy Tech basketball team, and also a longtime friend of the college. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Ron Lewis.
Hello, good people. Hello. Thank you so much for being here today, and hopefully I'll see you again throughout our series. My name is Ron Lewis. I'm excited. I'm really excited, especially about today's topic. So if you hear the enthusiasm, it's because I'm extremely enthusiastic. I have enthusiasm for community college as a whole, as I went to Merrimack Community College to get my associate's degree. I'm excited because I get to collaborate with Ivy Tech once again. It's a home away from home for me. So I'm truly, truly excited. Let me share my screen with you. All right. Okay, perfect. Now, let me just say this before we get started. This is not hearing me talk for 60 minutes. As much as I love to do this, as much as I love to share ideas, I have to be honest with you, I really love to hear you talk. Because when we talk about self-leadership, that's exactly what it is. It's about self-leadership. I'm just facilitating the discussion today. I'm gonna facilitate a discussion on on emotional intelligence. I'm gonna facilitate a discussion on communicating with impact, and I will facilitate a discussion on being a team player. But at the end of the day, it is really about your growth, your development, but more importantly about your insights and your discoveries about self. So again, I got some ideas, I got some things to consider, but I really want your contribution. That to me will not only help me, obviously, but more importantly, it helps everyone else on our call today. Because when you share, you could give insight to someone else can get that insight and use that insight to prepare and propel their leadership. So please, I want you to share, I want you to communicate, even if you put it in a chat, even if you unmute your mic. I would love to hear your voices. I can't see faces, but even if you unmute however you get the information out to the rest of us will absolutely be beneficial. Okay, so again, it's not about me. I don't want you to just listen to me, but I really want you to engage, because I think all of this content today is really, really important. Okay, so today we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about self-leadership, and I think I put leadership self. Apologize, but self-leadership. Let's roll. So a little bit about me. as the great Carrie told you, I am a long life friend of Ivy Tech. I did some work for Lake County. I've spoken at the Student Leadership Conference. I was a coach in the basketball program. So I love Ivy Tech. I have a great passion for Ivy Tech. And let me just tell you one thing, and we're going to talk about this today. And I want you to consider. You know, at St. Francis, I have a class where I talk about professional development, really preparing students, undergrads, as a freshman to propel themselves. And one thing that I have noticed, and I've been in higher ed for almost 15 years now, is that students don't necessarily have something that they're going toward. Yes, they want a degree, sure, but really for themselves, for their life. And today we're going to craft a 1 or 2 liner, but we're going to craft like a vision mission statement for ourselves. Companies have these all the time. It literally directs everything that they do. Okay. And if you think about a mission statement, I'm a big Nike fan. I love Nike. And a big proponent of their mission statement is to inspire athletes all over the world. So then the question is, well, how do they fulfill the mission? They do this in a variety of ways, whether it's the commercials, whether it's the quality of the product, whether it's the people that they select to represent their product. All of that helps them fulfill their mission. And so we come back to us. I want you to consider, what's your mission statement? That's so important when we talk about self-leadership. What's your mission statement? Okay. My mission statement is to help individuals reach their full potential. That's my mission in life. Nothing more, nothing less. I do it through education and inspiration. That's how I do it. So I want you to consider, once we get to the end of our program today, we're going to take time. I want you to think about, what's your mission in life? And then we're going to set some goals of how you can accomplish that. Because if you can lead yourself well, you can lead others well. We all love someone that leads by example. The question I will keep asking, the question I want you to ponder is, are you going to be that example? It all starts with self-leadership. Okay? Here's the big idea here. So stick with me. This comes from Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you want to make minor changes in life, work on your behavior. But if you want to make significant quantum breakthroughs, work on your paradigms. Now, your paradigms, these are your mental maps. Your mental maps. Let me give you an example. Let's say someone gave you a map, even though I know we want to use old school maps, we use a GPS. But matter of fact, let's use a GPS. Let's say you had the GPS going on your phone and you wanted to get to Florida. That was go, you typed in Florida, but somehow, some way, the GPS, and you're preparing for Florida, you're packing for Florida. Everything that you're doing to go to that trip is for Florida. That's what's in your mind. But the map, the GPS, well, it sends you to New York in the wintertime, right? You're trying to get away from the cold, but it's sending you right to the cold. So what's the issue here? The issue is that you can do all the prep, but if you have a GPS that's leading you the wrong way, if you have a mental map, a paradigm that's leading you the wrong way, your best intentions will fall on deaf ears, per se. They will fall off. Your best intentions won't come to fruition. Why? Because you have a bad mental map. So the big idea here for the remainder of our series is for you not only to develop your emotional intelligence, have a discussion on self-leadership, give you some ideas about communication, some ideas about how to be a great team player. But at the end, I don't want you just to change some pieces of your behavior. I want you, if you don't have the confidence now, after our series, my hope is that you have a little more confidence. If you don't believe you can do it, if you don't believe you can graduate from Ivy Tech or go to a 4-year institution or be better at your position, that at the end of the series, that's what you honestly believe, because that will be your paradigm. Those paradigms will shape not only your self-leadership, but we spread those paradigms to our children, to our loved ones, to our students, to our community members, right? So that's the big idea here. We have to change our paradigm. If we change our paradigm, there's nothing we can't do. A flawed paradigm is, I am not good as whoever. That's a flawed paradigm. Surely you are. But if you don't believe that you are, then there's nothing that anyone could do, say, to help you be better if you don't believe you can become better. Does that make sense? So it is so important that we constantly are working on our paradigms, that we are challenging our paradigms. There's a great quote that says that unchallenged brain should never be trusted. I'm going to say that again. An unchallenged brain should never be trusted. And I want to challenge you to work on your mental map. Work on your thoughts, okay? Work on your thoughts that govern your actions. Your actions will always govern your results, all right? All right, so here we go. Today, we're going to look at the circle of influence. It is a beautiful thing, good people. That is where self-leadership lives, in the circle of influence. Then we're going to look at self-leadership. We're going to look at the pillars of self-leadership. And then we're going to talk about that vision statement. We're going to build something today, folks. And as you see, that vision statement is not going to be something that hangs around forever. It's going to change. It's going to morph. As you grow, the statement will grow, okay? So I want to challenge you to work on that together today with all of us. And I would love to hear some of yours. I definitely want to hear some of your vision statements / mission statements that you have for your life, not just in school, but overall in life. So here we go. Okay. Let me just say this. I use a lot of 7 habits because I love 7 habits. If there is a book that someone say, hey, Ron, what book should I read to move me from A to B? It would be 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It is a classic, okay? So I use this a lot when I talk to students, when I talk to clients, because truly it is a business book, it's a school book, it's a life book, it's all the books, all right? I really, truly think it has a overall approach, academically, professionally, and so on. All right, in the first chapter, 7 Habits discuss the circle of influence. Now, the circle of concern. So what's the circle of concern? The circle of concern is everything we have no control over, okay? None. We have no control over. The circle of influence is everything we have direct control over. The key word here is direct control. So here is what I would like for you to do. I'm going to give you some time. If you just joined in, welcome. I want to give you some time. 2 minutes max. I want you to write out all the things, okay, that you have no control over. I want you to consider all the things you have direct control over, okay? I want you to think about this from a personal as well as a professional, well as an academic standpoint, because believe it or not, all of these things are fitting into one person. Some of us have jobs. Some of us are trying to go to school. Some of us have families. Like, you have all these things that you're juggling. So one always affects the other, okay? So again, I'm gonna give you roughly about 2 minutes. I would love for you to write down the things you have no control over with the circle of concern, the things you have direct control over with the circle, direct control over with the circle of influence. Write it down. I'm gonna give you about 2 minutes. I'm gonna step away, all right? Write it down. We're going to come back, and I would love for you to share some of those things in your concern as well as your influence. Go. All right, my peeps. My peeps, I feel like a DJ. All right, my peeps. Love to hear what you came up with, okay? So the circle of concern, let's see here. The circle of concern are the things we have no control over. The circle of influence are the things we have direct control over. What'd you come up with? Throw it in the chat, unmute yourself, and come on, share with me. What you got? All right, here we go. Have no control over weather, other people's happiness, change, okay? We just stay with the things we have no control over, but I see that, okay, no control over others' reactions, yeah. External prices, good. No control over natural catastrophics, good, good, good. Okay, good. Let's stay with other people for a quick second. Keep them coming in. I see you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Logan. Okay, Thank you, Angela. I appreciate it. Are you saying something, Karen? Okay. One thing I want us to stay for just a second, student attendance. Charles, you're so true. I mean, you're so correct. One thing I want to stay with for a moment is other people, because as much as other people can be a great motivation, they also can be a great hindrance. Okay. I can do everything possible to ensure that individuals are comfortable. I can do everything right to have individuals to kind of, I guess, do everything right to make myself pleasing to other people. But at the end of the day, I have no control over what people think about me. I have no control over what they value. I have no control over their experiences. I have no control over if students show up to class or don't show up to class. I have no control over what people think about me. Even on my best intentions, they can fall flat because of someone else's perspective. And that's another thing. I have no control over other people's perspective at all. I have no control over, really, believe it or not, motivating other people. Motivation is something that comes from within. Inspiration comes from within. Yeah, somebody can say something to maybe spark the flame, but at the end of the day, you really don't have control over that. Okay, so with other people, we have no control. Okay, we have no control over the weather. And matter of fact, you know all this. All of us are pretty smart on this call. We know that we don't have any control over anything but the circle of influence, which is direct control. And that direct control, as people said, Eli, I have control over my own grit and determination, 100%. Daily decisions, mental effort, prioritizing time management. Thank you, Daniela. Chris, I have control over time management, emotions, outcomes, team influence. I would say team influence, don't know. I mean, if you ever worked on a school project or a work project, there's probably somebody that's doing a little slacking. Your best motivation may not help them. Your best encouragement, they may still not want to do anything. I would say we have control. Yeah, maybe we have control over our effort in that team, but I don't have control over if you choose to do the work or not, if you're going to do your part, if you choose to be helpful. So definitely don't disagree with that. Yeah, thank you, Logan. How you react, budget, your own thoughts. These are things we have control, okay? I had no, let me see what Ruby said. Ruby said she had no control of being late. My daughter, okay, absolutely, absolutely. And I have no control over getting a flat if there are potholes and I can't get away from the potholes without injuring myself or hurt someone, next to me on the road, right? So 100%. So I want us to keep in mind that we don't have control over other people. The only thing we have control is our direct control, which is our circle of influence. That is it. Okay. That is it. Charles said the way I approach everyday problems and work 100%. These are the things we can't control. I mean, these are the things we can control. I apologize. Now, why is this important? Well, let me move off here for a moment. Okay, real quick, the circle of influence. Rather than trying to fix other people, we work on our own problems. That's the circle of influence. Rather than complaining about your instructor, or it could be anything, instructor, friend, family, whatever, we do the best we can. That's something we can control. Rather bad mouthing a significant other, anyone else, we try to change our own self first. Rather than blaming someone else for our decisions, whether it could be fast food, it could be health or something like that, we start taking ownership in our own self first. Now, I can't see everyone on the call, but I would love to put in the chat, where do you think most people spend their time? In the circle of concern or in the circle of influence? Throw it in the chat. Circle of influence or the circle of concern? Concern. Thank you. I see a lot of concerns. Yes. Yes. People spend more time in the circle of concern than they do the circle of influence. Let me throw it right back to the chat. Why? There's no power there. There's no power in complaining about other people. So why do we do this? I'm going to the chat. What we got? What we got? Thank you, Nicole. Circle of influence is priority. Yes. But someone help me out. Why do people spend more time in a concern? It's easier to blame someone else. Yes. Let's keep going. Keep going. It's easier. Logan, isn't that true? Is it not easier to blame, let's say, the instructor or a colleague than looking in the mirror saying, I probably did that wrong. I probably didn't do that right. Sometimes to see your own problems. Yes, that is hard. Thank you, Brandy. That is hard. Okay. People don't want to take responsibility for their actions 100%. So we can't be a leader if we are not leading ourselves. Okay. If we can't be a leader if we're not leading ourselves. So let me go here. Let me give you some rules of leadership. Let me bring it back here. So this is all coming from the circle of influence. Everything we're done with the concern. There's so many things that we can't control. It's nerve-wracking. The one thing we can control is within, which is ourself. So a couple rules of leadership. This is just rules that I live by. Take them and leave them. Hold on one second here. All right. Number one, I think these are great things to write down. Leadership is ownership. Write it down. Oh, this is so good. And I'm going to tell you why. When you own your own stuff first, it is way more empowering than putting the blame off of someone else. If you're anything like me, you want if there's a problem, you want a solution. But personally, I am not willing to blame other people for the problems that I have. Doesn't matter what they are. They're my problems. I must own those problems to find a solution to make it better for myself. And if I make it better for myself, I'm going to make it better for my family, my students, my colleagues, my clients. Leadership is ownership. I must take full responsibility for the world that I live in. I don't mean the global world per se, but I mean the world that I'm controlling, whether it's a classroom, a relationship, or something like that. Leadership is ownership first. Number two. So that's number one. Number two, can't give what you don't have. Wow. I can't tell you. You know, I used to do heavy traveling in 2017, 18. Client to bring me in. Hey, can you help our employees get more motivated? Can you help our employees engage more? Can you help our employees honestly be nicer to each other, believe it or not? And the question is, for the people that normally will bring me in will be your C-level individuals, your CEOs, CFOs, CIOs, CEOs, COOs, all the C's with all the O's, okay? But the question is, are you motivated every day? See, that's the question. The question is, are you inspiring people every day? The question is, are you engaging every day? That's the question. You can't expect people to be motivated when you're not motivated. You can't expect people to be inspiring when you're not inspiring. It doesn't work that way because all of us live by the rule or have heard of the cliche, lead by example. The question is, as I stated at the top of this presentation, are you the example? Do you lead a life when no one is watching that is inspired? Or behind closed doors, are you doing just as much complaining as you would do if someone was in front of you? It's very important. Please, my rule is don't ask anyone to offer, don't ask anyone to do anything you are not willing to do on a consistent basis. That's not leadership. Okay. Another rule of leadership I think you should consider is that leadership is service first. But the first person we need to serve is ourselves. The first person we need to lead is ourselves. First and foremost. So I really believe that if we want people to be inspired by us because of our actions, because of our behavior, we have to have self-leadership within us to do that. That's why number 2 is so important for the rules of leadership. You can't give what you don't have. Last but not least, number 3, you have to respect what is. And what do I mean? I mean, you have to respect where you are. You have to respect where you are. If we were leading a big organization, leadership is not about bossing people around. That's not leadership. Leadership is not about power. I know what the movies say, but that's not real leadership. Leadership is about influence. The only way to get influence is trust. The only way to get trust is through connection. And if you're connected with anyone in your life, you have met them where they are. You've pushed them a little bit. Maybe they have pushed you. But on some level, you have met them where they are. And in meeting them where they are, that's one easy way to build connection, because that person can trust you. It's the same thing with ourselves. Believe it or not, some people don't trust themselves enough. They don't trust themselves enough to hold themselves to a goal, to hold themselves accountable. If we are dealing with things that are in the circle of influence, we have to understand it's about responsibility and accountability. I don't need anyone to tell me to be responsible for the things I know I could do and I should do. That's self-leadership. Okay. Okay. Self-leadership it's about choosing what you are, what you do, who you want to become. That's what it's about. Self-leadership does not advocate for a selfish approach. See, here's the thing. When you are better, the great Jim Rohn said this, when you're better, guess what? Everything is better. When you're better, everything is better. Okay? Everything. When I am more inspired, I can bring that inspiration to the classroom. I'm gonna give you an example here. I was on Monday, I do a series for the football team at Manchester, in North Manchester, here in Indiana. So, I woke up early in the morning at roughly 5 o'clock, have a boxing class that I went to, came home, got ready for work, took a shower, got ready for work, went down to USF. I teach 3 classes on Monday and Wednesday. So I taught my classes back to back to back. My last class ends at 2:45. From 2:45, I drove an hour out to Manchester University, did my series, my second installment of that particular series for the football team. And I am at that point, you can only imagine, I am tired. Like, I am dog tired. Like, oh my gosh, I was so exhausted. And the student, he says, at the end, he's like, this is my first time coming to this, but I like your energy. When we advocate for ourselves, it is not, to me, selfish. It is selfless. It is selfless. So what I have here is that it is not about being selfish. It's truly not, because truly when you're better, you're able to give more to others. You're able to give more to others. Okay. Let me see something here. There we go. It recognizes, I love this. It recognizes that things won't always come easy. That's what I love about it. It won't always come easy to us. Okay. It recognizes that our environment is created through the choices that we make. Isn't that true? The choices that we make say a lot about who we are. I'm not saying we don't make every bad choice is a reflection, but it does tap into our paradigm for a moment. Okay. A couple more things about self-leadership. Keep it moving here. Okay. Self-leadership. The world becomes a place where we leverage for knowledge. See, here's a philosophy that I have. Living is learning and learning is living. That is one thing we never retire from, learning. We never retire from learning. Let's go back to my second rule. You can't give what you don't have. The more we know, the more we can give. I honestly believe the more we know, the more we can give, the more we can give, the more we can grow. And not just for us, but for everyone around us. Everyone around us, our classroom, our students, our teammates in our respective organizations, our peers. Self-leadership, we have to manage ourselves effectively to be successful, which is almost the second rule of emotional intelligence, which is the next one we'll talk about. See, keep this in mind also, good people. Everything is connected. We're talking about leadership today. We talk about emotional intelligence, but let me say something. When you talk about leadership, you're talking about communication, you're talking about teamwork, talking about emotional intelligence, we're talking about diversity, we're talking about everything. Okay, we're talking about everything. I'm just isolating the idea and the concept of self-leadership. Self-leadership is not about managing others. This is what I love. This is the key. Self-leadership is not about managing others. It is about putting the focus on our own growth and our own development. And I know that is sometimes challenging today, but that's what this is about. We have to be able to lead ourselves in a way that inspires us. And I promise you, it would inspire others. Self-leadership is about leading yourself. And it should be ... first. Okay. All right. I love this. Love this quote. This comes from Stephen Covey. Everything is created twice. First mentally, then physically. Now, let me go back to you in the chat. I know I've been speaking a lot. What does this mean to you? Talk to me in the chat. Let me bring up the chat here. What does this mean to you? I'm with you. Everything is created twice. First, mentally, then physically. What does that mean? Okay. Yeah. Not every decision we make, we think about before doing it. Good, good. About planning out my art. Good, good. Thinking about an idea turns into action. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see, Jacqueline. The way we process things mentally first will determine physically. Good, good. Believe in yourself. Thank you. Great answers, great insight, 100%. This is what I want us to keep in mind. Everything is twice. Before, I've never built a house, but for my brother who has, he had the blueprints. He saw what the house looked like first and foremost. Before ever stepping one brick or laying one piece of cement on the ground, he saw the house first. Our life is the same way. Yes, your conscious decision steers your actions. Thank you, Daniela, 100%. So I want us to keep that in mind before we go. Once we leave the car, I want us to ask ourselves, what do we want? See, here's the thing. Most people allow the day to just move them along. We have to take from the day what we want. That's leading ourselves. We have to plan out our day. I'm not saying everything is going to be perfect. No. Things get mixed up. Things happen. But to go into life without a plan, to go into the day without a plan, that's a rough sell. I can't be swayed by anything that happens. Some things requires my attention. Some things don't. But if I feel like I don't have a plan, then I'm just subject to almost anything. That's us leading us. Okay. All right. Key pillars in self-leadership. Got 20 minutes to go. This stuff happens way too fast for me. I'm going to just leave it like this, family, if you don't mind. All right. 4 pillars. Here we go. Knowing who you are, knowing what you do, knowing what you need to learn, and using what you know. Let's just start here at the top. Why is belief so important? Talk to me, family. Why is belief so important? Go and throw that in the chat for me. Eli, yes, your mind is powerful. Yes, it guides your actions. Thank you, Andrea. Yes. Beliefs, yes, Jacqueline, thank you. It does. It lasts. You have to believe in yourself. Good. Everyone needs to believe in something. Thank you. Good insight, Ruby. Good. Good. Belief is so important for all of the reasons that you added. And let me add to these great reasons that you have contributed. Belief is so important. Martin Luther King said that belief is taking a step on a staircase without seeing the stairs. That's powerful. That's belief. That's why belief is so important. There is nothing that we can do successful if we truly don't have a level of belief. And when it comes to this idea of leadership, we think it's the person that's telling everyone what to do, but everyone has seen a quiet leader that we just believe in for whatever reason, because we know that they know what they're doing. We believe in them. Now, here's the thing. I want you to take that same, matter of fact, how many of you, and you could just put that would be fine, but how many of you on the call today you have someone that you absolutely believe in? Like you say, this person is a leader. This person was a great leader for whatever reason. It could be someone that you have experienced personally, or it can be someone that, thank you, or it could be someone that maybe it's like Steve Jobs. You never met the person. Yes, thank you, Ruby. See, everyone keep throwing it in. Yes, everyone has a lead. Now, if you don't mind, just give me a couple words of why that person to you is considered a leader. Why is that? Just throw me a couple lines in there. Actually, one line to be fine. I want to try to read them all. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Andrea. Confidence. Oh, I love that. Yes. Yes. They were balanced. Good. I like it. I like it. Led by example, willing to listen. Oh, we can't put a price tag on listen. We're going to talk about that in communication. Thank you, Jacqueline. Good. They cared for others, led by example, ability to accomplish tasks at hand with confidence. So it seems like a genuine example. Thank you. Open-minded. It seems like confidence is important. Now, here's what I want us to do. For that same person that we admired about their leadership, whether it was their open-mindedness, their confidence, they led by example, I want us to turn all wisdom. Thank you, Ruby. I want us to turn all that good energy back to ourselves. And why should we not believe in ourselves? Why should we not believe in ourselves? Thank you, Andrea. Relatability. I want us to put the attention back onto us. So the first step in being self-leadership, they exuded confidence when they walked in the room, 100%. But I believe that person exuded that confidence. I don't know any of these individuals, these wonderful leaders that you are talking about. On some level, they had to believe in themselves. They had to. Since they believed in themselves, you believed in them. That's great self-leadership. You have to believe in who you are, what you're here for, what you're doing. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. No. But listen to me. You don't have to be perfect, family. You just have to be effective. The first step in emotional intelligence that we're going to talk about the next time we meet is self-awareness, which is nothing more than being aware of our own self-leadership. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. Before I work on anyone else, I need to work on myself. Another pillar or another piece of the first section of self-leadership is what's important. What's important? That is important to know what are the essential things that I need to focus on. You know, not everything is a fire. I like to tell my students this: your procrastination is not my emergency. You agree with that, Charles? Right? Carrie, like your procrastination is not my emergency at all. I can't do anything with that. Okay. So we have to know what's important, and we can't, thank you, we can't expect everything to be important. Not everything is a fire. That can throw us off. Carrie, stop. That's the mantra you speak often. Yes, because somebody will make a fire your fire. How many of you ever had someone say, hey, we have a problem? And before they walked in the room or called you or text you, like, I didn't have a problem. I was perfectly fine. I was watching this movie on Netflix, doing my homework. All of a sudden, we have a problem. We don't have anything, right? Because some people will give the fires to you. So we have to know, this is the great rule in leadership. We have to know what's important. And let me just explain this really quick, and then I'll move on. Every time you say yes to one thing, you say no to something else. Every time you say yes to one thing, you say no to something else. Not unless you have a mouse in your pocket. Okay, I understand that. Thank you, Charles. All right. But the key thing I want you to keep in mind, family, is this. What do we say yes to? Do we say yes to the conversations that throw our day off? Do we say yes to the negative energy or sometimes those thoughts that throw our day off? If we say yes to some things, we say no to something else. So from a student perspective, if we say yes to some of the, if we say yes to some social media, we're saying no to getting some of our work done, studying. Okay. So we have to make sure that we completely understand what we're saying yes to. As I'm saying yes now to participating in this call, I know I'm saying no to something else, but that's okay because I fully believe what I'm doing right now is worth it. You know, hopefully it's worth it for you, but I'm enjoying myself. I love the conversation. Next, let's go to the second pillar. Believe it or not, I have 14 minutes. Knowing what you do. Knowing what you do. I can't express enough how important our actions are, whether it's in our schoolwork, our professional life, in our relationships. They are absolutely essential. Okay. I need your help, family. How many of us have a person that when we see their name on our call ID or in our text messaging, we say, what do they want? Just put a yes in the chat for me. How many of us, or even email, whether it's a student, whether it's a colleague, family member, Logan, oh my, they're coming in too fast. I can't. Of course. Yes. The reason why I'm proposing this question is because their actions, their behavior, that's their personal brand to you. Those individuals that you say were great leaders, their personal brand stem from their confidence, open-mindedness, flexibility, right? And we have to ensure that as leaders within ourselves, that we are leading in a way that's at the highest level of leadership. So what's the highest level of leadership? I'm going to use John Maxwell's philosophy on the highest level of leadership. He said there are 5 levels of leadership. He said the lowest level is a position, okay? Like you're a CEO, do what I say. The third level is what you have ever done for like someone or an organization. But he says the highest level, number 5, is not what you have done for an organization or a friend. Is the highest level of leadership is your reputation from other individuals, not just reputation per se, but how people feel and think about you when you're not in the room. Highest level of leadership, highest form of leadership. And I'll give you an example. Think about Martin Luther King for a moment. What title did he have? There was no title. Yet, almost 250,000 people followed him to the March on Washington. There's no title. There's no title. He had no title over anyone, but yet still people left jobs to hear him speak because they believed in what he believed in. So I'm gonna strive, and I want to encourage all of us, find people around us that believe what we believe. I'm not asking you to put your thoughts onto other people. I don't think that's good leadership because everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But there are certain people out there that we fully agree with, and we should allow our actions and our behavior to dictate based on our mental maps, but to dictate how we approach other individuals. Because the great Maya Angelou said, it is not what you say. Most people will forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel. If you agree, please just throw a yes in the chat. People will forget what you say, but they won't forget how you make them feel. So important. The question is, as young leaders, how are we making people feel around us? Do they feel inspired? Do they feel empowered? How do they feel when they leave from interacting with us? All right. Knowing what to learn, okay? Knowing what you need to learn. Again, I don't believe anyone should ever have to tell me to read a book, to study. One thing, I've taken up, just to give you an insight, I've taken up like a love for martial arts. And one thing above martial arts, I just love to learn. I just want to learn more. So the question I want us to keep in mind, young leaders, what are we learning? Are we growing? Are we growing? And I'm not talking necessarily schoolwork or in work. Are we growing outside of these two areas? Are we growing within ourselves? Or do we feel like a hamster in a wheel? Life is exciting when we learn something new, at least when we try. And I'm encourage all of us. I may ask the question the next time we meet, if you stay on this journey with me, what'd you learn in the last 3 weeks? Did you read something? Did you just read a new book? I got a couple books I'm reading, not necessarily anything mind-blowing. The new Will Smith book is a doozy. Learned a lot out that book. Learned a lot. Next book I'm gonna read, 12 Life Lessons from Jordan Peterson. Okay. Nicole's a black belt. Oh my gosh. You will beat me up, Nicole. I know you will. Okay. I'm like a no belt. All right. But yes, I'm a black belt in martial arts, and can point you in the direction of a good friend. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. More importantly than anything, it's the learning that I'm infatuated with. So for us as leaders, for us to grow, we got to learn. And I'm going to tell you where we can start. But you know what, matter of fact, before we even start reading the book, how about we just take time to reflect, journal, meditate within ourselves first, about ourselves first, okay? And then using what you know. Here's my philosophy about education. Information without application is useless information. Information with application, that's education. If you agree, go ahead and hit me in the chat and say yes, okay? Information, only when you're able to apply that information, to me, you're truly educated within that. So we have to use what we know. And sometimes that can be intimidating. Young leaders, that could be intimidating, but we have to, okay? How do you know when? That's a great question, Chris. How do you know when you will need it? But here's the thing. I can't give you that because I'm not sure what we're learning, what we're using, but here's what I like to say. I don't know when someone is going to need it. So I need to grow within myself. So when that time arises, then I'm prepared. Here's a great quote for you, Chris, and the rest of our family on the call. It is better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than have an opportunity and not be prepared. If you agree, hit yes in the chat. Hit yes in the chat. Thank you. So to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know when you will be able to use what you know, what you learn, but we grow. So when we grow, we can give the information away. We give our information away. And everyone, go back to that leader that you put in the chat. I guarantee you that leader gave you something. That leader gave you something. If it was confidence, if it was a book, if it was time, whatever it is, they gave you something for whatever reason. But they gave you that at the perfect time, probably when you needed it, right? And since they gave that to you, you have a model of what you can give to someone else because you know how that made you feel. But if they didn't grow, they wouldn't have been able to give you that. Does that make sense? So that's why it's so important that we continue to grow as young leaders so we can give it away to someone else. Okay. Let me move on. I got 5 minutes. Yikers. Okay. Personal mission statement. We won't do it, but I want you, my good people, I want you to try this out. If you've never done this, I want you to try this out. So a personal mission statement, there's so many ways to write it. There are probably apps you can use, but a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, a mission statement should be short. We don't need a mission paragraph here. We need a statement. A statement. Again, my mission statement is to help individuals to reach their full potential through education and inspiration. That is it. That's specific. I'm not doing it through medical. I'm not a physician. I will probably do it through some type of sport, but I'm going to do it probably in the classroom or what I'm doing right here. Okay. Very, it's concise and it's brief. Number two, it directs your choices and it inspires you. That's why your mission statement is so important, because it inspires you. See, when you have a good mission statement, family, especially when we're leading ourselves consistently, it is easy to say no to certain things and you won't feel bad for it. How many of you don't like to say no? How many of you like, I don't like to say no? Go and put that in the chat. Okay, I can see what I see. I love it. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Ruby. Like, some people don't like to say no, but let me tell you something. When you have your mission, oh, thank you, Jacqueline, because I love to say no. Ruby, she says her husband should tell her she should say no more. I love saying no. Thank you, Chris. I don't mind saying no. I'm not a bad person for saying no. I'm actually a really good person, because not everything I can do. See, here's another quote. You can be everything to everyone else and nothing to yourself. If you agree, go ahead and type in yes on the chat. You can be everything to everyone else and nothing to yourself. Yes. Thank you, Charles. Yes. See, at the end of the day, if you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile. Am I right? You say, can I have, yes, thank you, Logan. Say, hey, can I have 5 minutes? They end up taking 30 minutes. Like, wait, I didn't want to give you 30 minutes. So when you have a mission statement, in my estimation, that you live by, everything you do is based on fulfilling that mission. And the last thing I want you to keep in mind is that your mission statement, it will take some time. You're going to keep tangling it, and you're going to keep untangling it, and you're going to keep, as you just moving throughout your life, you're going to say, well, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. So your mission will change. Okay. Your mission will change. So let me just move on here. And this was really the last thing. We have 2 minutes now. So let me just say this. If you have an opportunity, if you have the time, create a one-line mission statement for your life, not for school, or for your life, despite your occupation. See, despite if I'm teaching, I'm always going to be teaching. I'm always going to be teaching somehow, some way, whether I'm speaking, whether I'm in a classroom, whether I'm doing mentoring, doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm always teaching. That's my life's mission. That's what I'm called to do. That takes time. To fulfill that mission, it's called WIG, Wildly Important Goals. So don't worry about this. So what I want you to do, here's a little homework. If you want to go to the challenge, write your mission statement. It won't be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. But then I want you to write 3 goals to help you fulfill the mission. Nike's mission is to inspire athletes all over the world. How do they do that? They do it through their commercials, highly emotional commercials. Ruby said that I always sing in the car like no one's around. That's my man. Hey, I love it. Ruby, I love it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being in your own world. There's nothing wrong with that. So often, social media, commercials, TV, we're always giving or always getting someone else's world. Sometimes we have to stay in our own world a little bit. We have to be with ourselves. But I want you to write down maybe 3 goals to help you fulfill that mission. That's how we start to take the steps to become not only leaders of others, but leaders of ourselves. All right, good family. It is 12 o'clock. I want to be mindful of your time. Please RSVP for the next event. I would love to have us all growing together on this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. A reminder to check out the events from that link that I just dropped in the chat. That is all 4 of the next events that are part of this leadership series. So check those out. Also check out the news post about the entire series and how you can become eligible for the $500 scholarship if you're a student, or in addition to the $50 gift card just for completion of the certificate. So I appreciate you being here. We look forward to the next one. Thank you again to Dr. Ron. We're fans, Doctor. We are fans. All right. We will see y'all next time.